Look at that. We're back. I'm Jay with Guilty of Crime and happy almost Friday. How's everybody doing today? I see y'all in chat. Y'all are already theorizing what's going down today. How you doing? Good to see everybody. Come on in. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Get a membership if you can. Now listen, today I'm going to be giving away, if we get to our goal, of course, I'm going to be giving away, where did I go with that? We're going to be giving away a Guilty of Crime merch per usual, thanks to my girl Tiff. All right. So let me show you that real quick and I'll say hello before we get started with anything. I've been waiting. For almost 24 hours to talk about this case. Sometimes I don't know. I think I'm obsessed. I get obsessed with these cases and it's hard to put them down, my friends. So, that being said, let me move this out of the way. We do want justice for Nancy, but let me say hi to everyone and then we'll get started. Yay, Tiff. Tiff is awesome. If we make our goal today, then we're going to give that away. And that's my favorite color. That's almost my favorite color. A little bit tinge lighter of green. I love green, guys. So come on in. Happy almost Friday. That's what we're going to win today if we get to the goal. Robin, good to see you, my friend. Ray's in the house. How you doing? Maggie. I see Jay the Italian Cookie in there chatting already. Janet, or chasm. I don't know. Hello. You just want me to say that, don't you? Kristen Perry, how you doing? Throw some green up, everybody. Green really is my favorite color. Not because the chat turns green when y'all are subbed or officially crime crew members, but I really do like green. All right. Life has been super busy. Brady, good to see you. I'm glad you made it. How are you? Carol says, hey, Jay, I never got my winter gift bow. Huh. I didn't. A what? Oh, my winter gift bow. I don't know about that. I don't know what that. I don't. I didn't. I don't know who gave you that or what box. Who? I don't know. We got to talk. Let's ask the mods or email me because I don't do boxes, my friend. Like ever. I'm not the one that does boxes. It's either Foxy Box or Tiff. So if you would, um, I'd say Foxy Box would probably be the best. Or send me an email. I'll forward it to the appropriate place. Julie Bug, how you doing? Hey, did you read my email about info on this case? I responded back to you, I thought, yesterday, but it could be the wrong person because I've got, 70 emails that I go through and I try to do my best. Not sure, Julie Bug. Also, I don't know if your name matches, but welcome in, Kristen Perry. You're amazing, Jay, and mods. Thanks for all you do. You're very welcome. Thank you. Happy almost Friday. Good to be here with you guys. And you know what's so great? I didn't realize that after 2 years, I would have these loyal followers that come and just kind of chill and wait around and are so cool. And, like I said, I booked my Las Vegas Crime Con stay already. So we're definitely going to CrimeCon 2026, May 29th through the 31st, my friends. Mama Guilty's in the house. Mama Guilty's going to be there. Baby Guilty's going to be there. Mrs. Guilty's going to be there. And I'm going to be there. And then some of the crime crew. So get ready for that, y'all. It's going to be wild. Saucy Skin CBD. How you doing, my friend? Best genetics around, right? Goat genetics, I gotta tell you. All right, guys, how y'all doing today? Good to see everybody. Happy Thursday. It's not Friday yet. All right, let's drop that down and get into the case that I've been obsessing over. And I can't, this one and the case from yesterday, I cannot stop listening to find out what's happening. So I can't take any more of the case from yesterday right now. That was heavy on me, guys. I don't know if you noticed yesterday. I tried to do my best to stay above, but that case was rough for me. So I'm going to stay away from that, hopefully for a while until we get a death penalty verdict. All right. That one was rough. Rose, thank you so much. $5 super chat. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, you know we're going to get into it, and you know where I'm coming from. If you've been here with me, you already know that I have other theories and motives and people. What if this was never about money? What if this was about control and power and torturing? We're going to talk about that today, as well as Sheriff Nanos has a freaking date. He's got an end date, my friends. And if he doesn't get those things in, and not only that, he's committed more crimes in between. Guys, this guy cannot be straight edge. He cannot not commit crimes. All right, Clover, I'm just going to call you Clover, says I always catch you on a replay. Caught you live. Hello, Velvet Unicorn. We love your show. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Sheriff Nanos did it. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you right now, Christian for Jews, listen, here, I'm going to tell you about everything today. We're going to talk about Nanos and the DNA and what I feel that this person or people are torturing the Guthrie family at this point. But listen, Sheriff Nanos has a deadline of April 21st. If he doesn't respond to all those claims, it could be a recall without, yes, I said without a vote. Not only that, guys, this guy can't stop doing illegal shit. He just got in trouble and stopped. He was getting on a plane. I don't know if he was going out of the country or just out of the state. And you know what he did? He took a gun with him, a full weapon that wasn't registered. He brought it right onto the plane because why not, right? So Nanos does need to get out, but I was shocked when I heard that he got caught in his bag with an unregistered weapon. What the hell? Yes, a loaded gun. You can't do that. You just can't. All right? I don't know what else to say. You just can't. That's not proper, right? I'm not in law enforcement, but I know the laws of, well, not only safety and guns, but different ways that you can carry and conceal. It's wild. Retha Bell, good to see you. And this is not the whole topic. I think this is why you guys keep coming back to Guilty of Crime, because they don't sit here for 2 hours talking about Sheriff Nanos or talking about why it was never about money. We do it big. We do everything. We talk about the money. We talk about the ransom. We talk about the family. Of course, we're going to talk about Tommaso and his new walk. We're also going to talk about Tommaso with the feds at the Guthrie house. I cannot, it must be my ADHD, but I cannot just sit there and talk about one thing for 2 hours or be like, that's awkward. Awkward silence. No bueno. All right, let's get to it, guys. Good to see everybody. If I missed you and I didn't say hi, just know that I'm saying hi and I love you, and everybody's equally. You guys are all cherished. You guys all support my channel, and thank you. Sadie's mom, I know you're in here somewhere. I just can't see you. My girl Tiff says, Carol, your Foxy box is still in Foxy production. It does take a while. We're actually thinking about creating a website that says where'smyfreeshit.com, and you can pull it up, type your name in, and send all the complaints to where'smyshit.com. How does that sound? And then we'll make Foxy check every day. We'll make her check the mail. It'll go right to Foxy. What do you think about that? Where'smyfreeshit.com. Yeah? Yay? 1 for yay, 2 for nay. Oh my goodness. I'm going to actually just start off with the deadline that's set for Nanos and the response, and then I'll get into the twisted plan and talking about what if it never was money, the walk with not the walk with the feds, and the way Tommaso changed his walk. Cool attracts cool. We're all top tier crime crew watchers. Yes, I'm getting some ones. Janet says no. I think that's funny. You know, you guys know Foxy, and you know the way her jokes. So that was a Foxy joke. I think that's funny. What's in my Red Bull today? Coconut berry. All right, let's get into it, guys. Let's talk about Pima County real quick and knock that out of the way. Now, I do appreciate these connections because we're going to come back to them. So I don't know if I grabbed that. Tiff, did you make that? Or I don't know where I grabbed that from, but shout out, I think 111 True Crime. We're going to talk about these connections later because various people that have been introduced into this case, you might have forgot how connected they really are. All right. I want what you're drinking. I look at that. Nothing. I mean, I'm sober as a, well, if you call it caffeine, but yeah, I don't have anything, guys. I'm just having a good day. Mrs. Guilty's cooking dinner. I just fed the dogs. Okay, Mab had it. All right. Well, thank you, Mab. All right, I'm gonna get into quickly about Sheriff Nanos, how he botched this and what's happening with him, and then I will get started with the twisted new messages and why I think what I think. And of course, we're gonna see Tommaso.
Hines says his plan to force Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos to answer questions on a range of issues is something that needs to happen. Now, as the clock ticks toward the deadline for those answers, we're learning more about what supervisors want to know about and what's on the line now. News 4 Tucson's Andrew Capasso is live on the south side with more. Andrew.
Well, Sean, good evening to you. That list of questions from the supervisors to the sheriff behind me in the sheriff's office.
I'm so excited about this. I hope that he gets the boot. Not only that, guys, listen, last night was rough. Okay, now today, I thank you, Christian for Jews. I love your energy. I'm telling you, if you go back to yesterday's episode and watch it, it's a dark episode. I couldn't present that and be silly. There's not much silliness when a FedEx driver that's delivering your daughter's package at Christmas kills your daughter, strangles them to death. All right, there's just, I can't. That was rough for me yesterday. So I'm glad at least with this, there's no deaths yet that we know of. We're just talking about Tommaso and Annie and what's happening with the Guthries. All right. Today I've got it's called Sour Fucking Fab. Literally. It's literally called Sour Fucking Fab. Geek Bar Pulse. All right, let's get into it. This guy's got a deadline
tonight. And as for what's on the line, the supervisor pushing this, Matt Hines, very direct, saying it could be the sheriff's job.
Yeah, of course.
County Sheriff.
Yeah.
I believe that this board would be well within their legal rights to vacate that office and remove him.
That's something Supervisor Hines says could happen if he doesn't respond, quote, substantively to a list of questions from this board. Among them.
Now, I want you to realize they're going to show the questions right now, but that means that this Barney Fife is not going to get his reality TV show. Is that what that means? Because you guys know they were filming some kind of show or reality show with this guy. Did they already pre-record it? Because if not, he's going to be out of there, guys. He's a joke. Nobody wants him in there.
The sheriff's time with the El Paso Police Department, including when he was there, why he left, and any disciplinary action taken against his one-time sheriff candidate opponent, Heather Lappin, and union leader Aaron Cross, the extent of communication between PCSD and federal immigration leaders since 2021, and what's happening to keep the department within budget.
I don't think any of us are happy about the fact that we're in this position where we have to be talking about another elected official.
Hold on, that went way too fast. Hold on.
Since 2021, and what's happening to keep the department within budget.
I don't think any of
that goes way too quick. Okay, so those are the questions that they're making him answer. And guys, this is not multiple choice. All right, this is not going to be a multiple choice test. He's really got to put in effort into the time with El Paso PD, the discipline. He's got to answer for these things, along with why did you promise to cut crime down, yet it went up 15%. All right, Clark, big hug to you, girl. Love you. Thank you. Towards our goal. Past perfect Pam just became a new member. Welcome to the Crime Crew official. Thank you. And if I miss something, I will certainly get back to you guys.
Budget.
I don't think any of us are happy about the fact that we're in this position where we have to be talking about another elected official who has done the things that this one has done.
And passes 5-0.
The Board of Supervisors voting unanimously to get the answers from the sheriff, either in a written report or in front of them at the next meeting. I asked the sheriff for a response. He said it'd be inappropriate to comment ahead of giving the board the answers. But in an earlier interview, he says getting the job done is what's most important to him.
Sometimes my decisions are going to make people unhappy. Sometimes somebody messes up and you have to discipline. And those things are part of the job.
Sometimes you have to discipline me, but I'm above the law. Wait, did I just say that? No, what I meant was this guy. He's a joke.
But I can't let that steer what we do here every day in public safety.
And while Hines says this has nothing to do with the Guthrie investigation, something the sheriff has been criticized for,
There's not one specific investigation here that is pushing this along.
He says the main goal here, getting answers.
I think we really do need to hear from the sheriff some answers.
Mhm.
The community really demands accountability, and I hope that they will have it.
So what happens from here? The sheriff has 10 business days to respond. Comes about 2 weeks, which lines up with the next supervisors meeting. Now, about
April 21st is the deadline, my friends.
that time with the El Paso Police Department that the supervisors have a question about. You may remember the sheriff told News 4 Tucson there was a clerical error and the resume with the correct dates is already in the sheriff's personnel folder, the one in the building behind me here. Now, this is another chapter in the long running back and forth between the supervisors and the sheriff. This time, as for the sheriff's job being on the line, Hines says that would be the case if the sheriff doesn't respond either at all or the best he can. But even if the answers raise questions, Hines says the board could still take some action, including a vote of no confidence. So we're going to see where this ends up in a little less than 2 weeks.
No, guys, it's a vote of no confidence. He's going to be out of there. Nobody wants him in there. And thank you, Jay the Italian Cookie, for the $9.99 towards our goal. Good to see you. I love seeing people that I haven't. Well, I love seeing you every day, but the people that I haven't seen that, you know, when the Madeline Soto case ended, I lost a lot of people to other cases, and rightfully so. I understand. All right, you say, or Japan, word of mouth equals solved with time. Yeah, but how time? How much time? What's up, M. Norberg? I am glad. It's good to be contagious and be silly. All right, let's take a look real quick at this. I need to pull something down. Hold on, because I've got too many screens up. All right, let's just take a look real quick. It's April 9th, guys. This came out this morning. New Nancy Guthrie ransom notes that we all talked about a couple days ago expose a sick plot against the family, ex-FBI agents claim. All right. Now, the latest purported ransom notes in TMZ claiming to know who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie and reveal the sick plot to continue to torment the missing grandmother's devastated family for a quick profit, according to a former FBI agent. And I also feel the same way. At this point, it's torture. They've gotten and nothing. And I'm going to elaborate on this afterwards too. This is not a kidnapping that you want that for ransom for money. This is not, and I'll explain what it is. Now, the notes, which also claim to know where her body could be found, were sent just as the Guthrie's daughter, coincidentally, Savannah, made her emotional return to NBC's Today Show for the first time that before her mom vanished 2 months ago. And she also did the Easter thing, right? She gave the speech on Easter and talked about her mom. And basically, she took her control back, in my opinion. Now, they sent these right when Savannah Guthrie went back to work. That was no mistake. That was absolutely meant to further torment her and her family. Now, this is, quote, Jennifer Coffendorfer, and I do feel very similar to this. All right. And it doesn't change who I think's involved either. All right. I think it will speak to the fact that there's at least someone out there that's willing to torture this family by sending continued communications with no proof of life, she added, and really no money. You guys, they're asking for half a Bitcoin still. That's ridiculous. Now, after February 1st, authorities believe she was kidnapped from her home in Arizona. We thought it was a kidnapping ransom for money, but nothing's been given out so far. Since her disappearance, multiple ransom notes have been reported, including several sent to TMZ. All right. Now, the pair of notes received by the outlet on Monday were sent from the same anonymous person who nearly 2 months ago demanded 1 Bitcoin in exchange for information related to Guthrie's abduction. The first note claimed Guthrie was dead, but the sender said to their offer to deliver the kidnappers on a silver platter for cryptocurrency. In the second note, they claim to have seen Guthrie alive with their captors in Mexico, state of Sonora, just across the border from Arizona. All right. The person said they will surrender the information. Now it's gone down to half a Bitcoin, with another half transferred to the wallet when there's a public arrest. Now, Coffindoffer believes they're lying about having any real information because they're shooting for a single Bitcoin, which as of yesterday, it was valued at 71,000. Now, it might have been changed today because it goes up and down, rather than the massive reward that's been offered by the Guthrie family and law enforcement agencies. That makes no sense. And we're going to get into why it makes no sense and how you could actually receive that. So if one of you is out there and you really do know where she is or who did it and you want to be anonymous, you certainly can. Please reach out to the FBI. Now, the reason this makes sense to me, she says, is that they don't have the knowledge. It's because they're not seeking the $1.2 million, but instead they're trying to subvert it with this quick pay, no hoops to jump through, just get the money to the bank. But I think these people are scammers, and I agree. All right, so let's hop down and take a look at Tommaso. We're just going to like browse Tommaso walking around, and then we're going to get into what I think it means, etc. This was from yesterday. Somebody filmed this.
If you happen to be watching live, I'm not Mark.
I just want you guys to see the movement.
I know they're going to go out here. I'm going to look to the left so they're not hit. No, I'm looking to the Looks like a pat.
Okay.
Okay, what's up? I will call you back.
There you go. Let's look at that walk. Don't worry, we got a whole video. All right, right here.
Okay, what's up? I will call you back.
Guys, he's very comfortable at that house. And I don't know what's happening in chat, guys, but we're all going to have different theories and different ideas because there's no real solidified information other than what has been from the beginning. So if you're going to have a debate or agree to disagree, just don't get like snarky with people. All right. I don't know who's doing what or whatever, but come on. I'm not here to babysit. That's for sure. All right, let's continue. All right. So I'm not even going to finish watching this because I'm going to hop right into what y'all know we're going to watch. And then we're going to talk about that. And then specifically the ransom and how it really, there's no way that it could possibly be this could have possibly been just for pay. No way. No.
Well, hello there.
Ooh, he's loud AF. At least I caught that before I blew your eardrums out. All right.
Everybody. So as I'm sure you're aware, Savannah Guthrie returned to the Today Show yesterday after 2 months away. And on that exact same day, TMZ received 2 new ransom notes claiming to know exactly where her 84-year-old mother, Nancy Guthrie, is and who took her. And at the same time of all of this happening, violent crimes allegedly met with none other than Tommaso Cioni, who, in this new sighting, appeared to change something very important about his appearance. So let's get into it. I'm Joseph Morris. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, he's got some really good, solid theories. Sometimes he's way out there and it's a little too wacky for me, but I do agree with this in the very beginning. As a matter of fact, I uploaded that for you guys. Do you remember that short? I'm actually going to show it to you so you can get a comparison, which is different than this one. And I'm not talking to anyone specific, guys. I can't see you. I'm watching the videos and looking on the other side and reading, so I cannot see chat. So I don't know who's saying what. I'm just hearing the mods say chill. So I'm not talking to anybody specifically. All right. Shorts. Let me do this real quick because we did put this out there and it was like the Twilight Zone, guys. Hold on. I won't put the volume though because it's way too loud. All right. Let me put this up there and let's show you the walk. You guys think he changed his walk? Take a look at this. Let me make it bigger. And just take a look. I'm not going to put any volume because the volume is really loud and it's like the Twilight Zone. You have now entered the Twilight Zone. Look at that walk. One more time. Let's look at how he walks. And then now it's like, he's got swag now, my friends. He's like, I got a pool. I got another car. I got a house. What? That's what he's doing. All right. He's all about it now. All right. Let's continue. Duck feet Tommaso. You got that right. All right. Let's drop this down and get back to what we were doing. All right. Yeah, he's got swag now. He's very perky, I would say. Very happy. All right, now the feds did visit, and that was the unknown person or people that I talked about 2 days ago. I want you guys to realize that, all right? Huh. Okay, Casey. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Maybe someone does in chat.
And ring the bell so you can get notifications to hang out with me in the chat right here. So the notes came from the same mystery sender who has been contacting TMZ since February 11th. TMZ founder Harvey Levin broke the story on TMZ Live, saying the first new note read this, quote, "I know where her body is and who the kidnapper is."
Now, I want you guys to realize that whether you think the family is intimately involved to the point where Tommaso, you guys, some people think he's the porch guy, or all the way to the point where you see that Tommaso is connected to Derek Colella, which was already arrested for asking for a ransom, and he got some hefty charges. And listen, if any of those people, any one of those, now Kayla Daly, she was locked up for a while. She got out. Luke Daly, they detained him. They're all connected. So let's say that Tommaso and Annie knew nothing about it, but they have a debt with them, a gambling debt, or they just don't like them because they stopped hanging out and whatever. They're still connected to these people that have been detained and released and also federally charged. Derek Colella has been federally charged, and he is connected to Andy and Tommaso, and he did message them, "Where's my Bitcoin? We're getting sick of this." All right. So I want you to realize that when you say you don't think the family is involved, it could be through another source. It could be a third party of the family, which is the case most of the time.
"Give me half a Bitcoin and I'll tell you," end quote. That note also stated plainly that she is dead. Now, here's the weird part. Right after Levin discussed it on air, a second note arrived from the same person claiming this, quote, "I saw her alive with them in the state of Sonora, Mexico," end quote. The sender is demanding half a Bitcoin now, roughly $35,000, and another half once there is a public arrest. They insist, however, that they had nothing to do with the crime and have been out of the United States for more than 5 years.
And hey, whatever, we're going to get there at some point. I just say a prayer, 222. You guys hit that like button. Say a prayer that Nancy Guthrie is brought home, her body, her, whatever, that we don't have to never have this solved, which I don't think is going to happen, because we're also going to talk about DNA hardcore today and what the DNA means, and that the DNA is the only real evidence that they do have, guys. I hate to tell you that.
Years. In the letters, they vent frustration with law enforcement, writing, quote, "It's unbelievable that millions have been wasted, and yet here I am willing to deliver them on a silver platter since the 11th of February for a Bitcoin, but I am disregarded as a scam. They are free and the case is frozen, but the egos remain hot when it comes to me. Arrogance at its finest," end quote. The person also,
and again, he may be talking about Sheriff Nanos directly. But what we do know is that this person wants to be in the light. They want to be in the spotlight. I'm sorry. And they want the attention on them. That's why said kidnapper messaged 2 times that day when Savannah started her first day back at her job, and then she released the Easter message to the kidnappers. They were seething, and you could tell by the language that they're saying. Now, this case is very active. One thing I got to tell you guys is that this is not a cold case. It's a very active investigation, in my opinion, behind the scenes. And they have ongoing techniques that they're doing now, digital information, surveillance videos, tips from the public, and potential DNA evidence being pursued right now. Now, while the door's importance and possibility while the back door's importance and the possibility of the case becoming cold are discussed by many channels, I want to emphasize that this is not a cold case. Now, experts also suggest the back door was likely an entry point for additional individuals, not an exit for Nancy, as we know, because of the blood, and that releasing the ransom notes could be a crucial step in identifying a suspect, but they're not telling us. All right. Now, again, Savannah Guthrie's emotional statements about her brother's belief in kidnapping and her own guilt due to her fame also highlight the personal impact of this case. All right. So, and then we get to Sheriff Nanos. Sheriff Nanos is overseeing this case, and he has been since day one. Now, he was stopped at Tucson's International Airport for having a loaded, undeclared gun in his carry-on bag. And he has until April 21st, which is the deadline, to respond to all claims. And he might just be able to get kicked out without a recall. All right, let's continue.
Claims that they are not motivated by greed, adding, quote, I just wanted what's fair and to live peacefully with enough to start my life again quietly without having to join a witness protection program, end quote. TMZ has alerted the FBI. The Pima County Sheriff's Office says all tips are being taken seriously and forwarded to detectives working with the FBI. But after 65 days, there are still no arrests and no sign of Nancy anywhere. So what's raising questions is the timing. Both notes arriving the same day Savannah returned to TV. Brian Enton, an investigative reporter, has weighed in, saying he thinks most of this ransom notes in this case are fake and that TMZ has overblown them. Let's roll the clip.
Is it just a coincidence that TMZ has received this new alleged ransom note on the same day that Savannah Guthrie went back to work? Look, I don't know if this ransom note is real. I think most of the ransom notes have been fake.
Again, there's no coincidences in true crime. Thank you, Michelle, for gifting of Guilty of Crime membership. If you receive that membership, please thank her. And Brady Lomi, if you're a broke ass, you don't got to do anything. It's appreciated, but yeah, thank you. Thank you towards our goal. Maybe you'll win that bag today. And Joanne, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker, my friend. Appreciate you. All right, let's continue.
I think that TMZ has overblown a lot of these notes. And I'm going to get to exactly what it says in a second. But I have wondered if when Savannah Guthrie went back to work, would that spark new interest in the case? Would that spark whoever did this to somehow do something differently or react differently? So it's something that's kind of been in the back of my mind. I was wondering if there was going to be some kind of development today.
I would have to agree with Brian Enton on this one. In some ways, I really think that TMZ may actually be sending these notes to themselves.
Now, I don't think that, and I really wanted to come on here and tell you that. And the reason I don't think that is because FBI has been working with TMZ in their office. Okay, they go to they've had to, they have a forensic computer science person that is checking that the whole computer, the email, and trying to trace it back to the people or people. I don't think that TMZ would shoot themselves like that and just ruin their entire career. Okay, so I do not think that at all. And I never heard of Savannah Guthrie until this happened either. I'm right there with you. But what I did pick up on was that her mom was kidnapped and the agony of her wanting her mom back. And you guys know I'm close with my mom. And so I immediately connected with this case. All right, the feds were there with Tommaso, by the way.
To get more clicks for new headlines. Like, we just received exclusive ransom notes. Like, it's just still so random to me that whoever kidnapped Nancy Guthrie is now sending ransom demands to TMZ of all people. I mean, the Bitcoin they're demanding is half a Bitcoin, which is like $32,000. Whereas if they just reported this directly to the FBI, they could do it anonymously. And there's a way that they can pick up the money, which is over $1 million anonymously as well. So why would they demand tens of thousands when they can get millions? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I really think these ransom notes are fake. What do you guys think? So as those notes were coming in, something else.
No, I don't think, I mean, they're definitely not fake. Whoever's sending them really wants to just get whatever they can and move on. I think that if somebody were to pay it, let's say some anonymous person came in and said, you know what, screw this, I'm tired of this, I'm going to pay it and see what happens. Guys, we would never hear from that person until FBI cracked where it came from. Lisa Lynn, good to see you. And I wanted to say hello to Jenny, all the way from Sweden. Wow, welcome. All right, let's continue.
Else was happening at Nancy's home. This video is from Mark the Shark on YouTube, and I'll link him in the description below.
Look,
but Tommaso Cioni was spotted at Nancy.
And that's what I showed you earlier because I wanted you to see the pep in his step, all right?
Guthrie's home.
Look at the pep in that
As those
step.
notes were coming in, something else was happening at Nancy's home. This video is from Mark the Shark on YouTube, and I'll link him in the description below. But Tommaso Cioni was spotted at Nancy Guthrie's home. So footage from today's live streams shows him walking around the property, going in and out of the garage, what appears to be law enforcement present. And I just want to point out, he seems very comfortable on Nancy's home, and he seems to be very familiar with the layout. And
now that's not surprising, guys. You got to remember, Tommaso and Annie are her caretakers, or were her caretakers. Okay. So there's that. Of course they're comfortable. They probably were doing most of the stuff. They probably were making sure the pool guy came and the gardener and whatever. Okay. I do not see an 84-year-old lady that can't walk out to the mailbox to be doing all of the things to keep that house afloat. I'm telling you. And when, Savannah Guthrie said, hey, Annie and Tommaso make it possible for my mom to live in that house, I believe that's what she meant. Okay. That's why, of course, Tommaso's son, I don't even know who Tommaso's son is, but I'm going to say no on that.
Whoever kidnapped Nancy was very familiar with the layout. I mean, he seems to know his way around the property. And it's what people notice about how he was moving that's getting attention. So Tommaso's walking in a very exaggerated way,
yes.
Almost different from how he was walking before. So during the memorial and flower drop, he did not walk like this. But now in today's footage, his walk appears to be more exaggerated. And some believe that this could be intentional to throw off the sleuths, because true crime creator Monk's Intrigue recently released a detailed video that has 84,000 views analyzing the porch guy's gate from the doorbell.
And now we watched the duck feet, weeks ago, right? And I love that these creators, you guys know I never trash creators, not purposely anyway. I love creators coming together in a community and working together, doing their thing. We do our thing. He does his thing. And like, hey, let's just get this info out there. Now, we don't know Tucson girl. That's the thing. But it doesn't really matter if the band members ever visited Nancy. She's lived there since 1975. I'm sure it'd be real easy to know exactly where she lives. All right. So there's that. Let's continue.
Camera footage.
I noticed something about the crotch holster guy's walk. He appears to have a slight hitch to his step, which I always attributed to cautious night walking. Then I noticed his feet does this funny thing where it juts outwardly once his left leg is extended right here. Now watch his right leg right here. This photo of the perp standing upright in his natural position, I guess I could say. Now you could see his feet face outwardly still. So when his legs are straight.
Now you guys remember watching this here a couple weeks ago, I hope. If not, it's all good. We're watching it now. Michael Bass, thank you so much. Choo choo. Hi, Jay and Guilty of Crime family, tapping in with the choo choo. It looks like we're going to make our goal today. We just got started here and we're doing well. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. All right, let's continue. The duck feet.
His feet point out. I looked this up, and the medical term is called out-toeing. So boring. So we're going to call it what it is. The man has duck feet. I want you guys to notice this as well. The slight bowing of his legs. Now, some people have straight legs. Some people have knock knees. Our perp appears to have, I mean, if only slightly, bow legs. You know who else has a very similar posture? Tommaso Cioni. He also has duck feet. And so I went over, the Savannah Guthrie.
Now, again, I have to emphasize this because right after this video, we are still talking about what if this was never about the ransom money? Okay, I didn't have enough room. I didn't put ransom money on there. I just put money. But just think about it. Just think about what the outcome is now and who is benefiting the most. Now, I'm not saying that Tommaso was the porch guy or not the porch guy, but I think all of that was a major distraction from this case. No reason to bring her out of the front door with blood drips when you got the back doors wide open and propped. All right, there was no reason to go with that bite light and put his spit all over that and do that with the camera when he could have just went around the back. All right.
Annie Guthrie and Tommaso's walk to Nancy's memorial, which was in front of her house, gifted by the community and YouTubers alike. I also noticed something about Tommaso's way of walking as well. He too has a slight hitch in his left leg, just before the leg motions forward.
Which I showed you earlier. Now, let's go a little deeper than that, Carol. I'm not thinking about an inheritance at all right now. Let's take the inheritance off the table and let's say that Nancy Guthrie never gets solved. The Nancy Guthrie case never gets solved. Or in 30 years from now, we get some new technology where we're able to find X, Y, and Z. Get rid of the inheritance. Annie and Tommaso already have full access to and were taken care of Nancy. So the only difference is they don't have to take care of her. Now they could just take care of her stuff. I'm sure they already had access to write checks, to hire people, to get things done, to her car, etc., etc. Because you have to declare her dead. You don't get an inheritance. But what you do get is a power of attorney when you're taking care of somebody that's sick. But what if you're tired of doing that? What if your buddy knows you're tired of doing that and you owe him a bunch of money? Just think about that, guys. All right.
As his leg goes forward, his foot comes up and juts outwardly each and every step. I mean, that's just a part of the way he walks, right? As part of his gait, as all the retired FBI agents tell us, he too has a duck walk. What do you think would happen if I were to put Tommaso and the perp's walk side by side for you?
We did that here too. You hear that moaning in the background?
Now, of course,
that was super over exaggerated, by the way. That did not sound like, it sounded like I went on to Max After Dark with some soft porn. She's like, oh, I'm like, wait, did I hear that right? They were straight up putting on a show right there. Did you hear that? I'm not going to play it again, but if you heard it, you heard it. All right. What's up, Cheapskate? Good to see you, Braddy. All right, let's continue.
Walking like a duck doesn't mean the man's guilty by any stretch, right? So how can these two men appear to have a very similar walk and even share the same stance with a very similar bow-leggedness.
And that breakdown from Monk's Intrigue really makes the similarity stand out in a way that sticks with you, especially.
It does, man. Thank you for noticing that. And I hope you guys are subbed up to his channel too. And as much as I hate to say it, user, you're right. It's better to get rid of an old lady than to take care of her. God bless Miss Nancy. Now, of course, I don't feel that way, but hey, we don't know what they went through and we have no idea what the dynamics were of this situation. Again, if it's not Annie and Tommaso, guys, statistically, it's somebody that's within the realm of the people. Even the case I covered yesterday with FedEx, I got to tell you, I mean, that guy probably saw that little girl a time or two and decided to go back. All right, so let's continue. We have 325 people and only like 100 likes. Come on, guys. Come on. I got you guys all energized and everything.
When you line it up against what we saw today, and it leaves you thinking about how small things like that can become so important in a case like this. Now in today's footage, that walk appears more exaggerated, and some believe that could be intentional after weeks of comparisons between Tommaso and the porch guy. From an investigative standpoint, it is not unusual for someone under public scrutiny to adjust something as subtle as their gait once online sleuths start pointing out matches.
I mean, maybe he's just in a better mood, y'all. He just got access to a pool, a full house. Yeah, it's furnished from the 1970s, but that's a badass house. Big room, nice pool, big yard, 2 cars now. Man, he's feeling it. Let's go. Let's get it done. We're either going to sell this or we're moving in, right? I mean, we're going to see what happens, but just think about it that way. All right.
In some cases, people under intense scrutiny have tried to change their appearance or presentation as attention builds. Caitlin Armstrong, accused of killing cyclist Mariah.
Oh my God, I'd love to cover this case too, by the way, but she straight up had plastic surgery to look different. All right, and she still got caught, and that's just one of many. Jay, never mimic that sound again. I won't. I'll try not to anyway, DJ. Oh.
Wilson fled the country and altered her appearance while on the run before being captured. And in another high-profile case, Jodi Arias noticeably shifted her look before and during her 2013 trial, changing her hair from blonde to dark, wearing glasses.
Okay, you guys know you know who the hell this is. That happens when people go to trial. They change their look so the jury feels sympathetic for them. They'll feel sympathy for her, but not her. Now, MP Daughtry, here's the thing. You say, wouldn't they really want to move into the house since their mother came up missing? I'd feel really unsafe. Does he look like he feels a little bit of unsafe at that house, or does he look confident AF? Now, I'm not saying they're moving into the house, but I already told you that they were moving boxes out of the garage, going back and forth. Something's got to happen with that house. If they're not moving in, it's got to be sold, right? How can it be sold if Nancy is not around? Sign it. You guys tell me, and we'll both know.
Glasses and adopting a more subdued appearance, which many saw as an attempt to influence how she was perceived. It shows how when pressure builds, even small changes in appearance can become part of the story. One user even speculated it was the Violent Crimes Task Force meeting with Tommaso right there at Nancy Guthrie's house today. So this is previously...
So it is the feds that are there. I looked it up. I forgot to bring up my X account because I put a bunch of new updates on there, but it was the feds. I don't even know why they're there currently. I don't know what evidence they can get, or maybe they're just trying to see what's happening, maybe try to watch them and get a little more information. I'm not sure, but the feds were there, and that guy that I didn't know, I said an unidentified man 2 days ago, that is that unidentified man. All right.
A picture of the Violent Crimes Task Force at the very top. And it appears that that same person was at Tommaso's home. So what is violent?
That same person. Look at them butt cheeks. Them butt cheeks match them butt cheeks. Match them butt cheeks. I think that's him. Anyway, Marianne, thank you so much for the $2 super sticker. I do appreciate you. towards our goal. Identical duck walks, and look at them butts. That butt matches his butt. Yep, let's go. It's him. Much love to you guys. And Mab. Mr. Mab's in the house. All right.
Crimes doing at Tommaso's home the same day as the ransom notes were released. This is significant because Tommaso Cioni was the last person to see 84-year-old Nancy alive. He and Annie were her caregivers, and Annie and Tommaso's home were searched 6 times, and their car was literally torn apart by investigators over weeks. So that kind of scrutiny already makes today's sighting at the property feel heavy, but when you add in the timing with the ransom notes, it gets even heavier. And what's more, the man who was...
All right, I'm going to stop for a second. Remember this guy. This is Derek Colella. This is a former bandmate, and this is the guy that got charged with sending the text messages to Annie and Tommaso and then calling and staying on the phone for 9 seconds. Nancy refinanced her house last year so A&T could use the money towards her new house. Did they ask her for more money and she said no? That's a possibility. We're going to get into this next about what the motive could be if it's not about the ransom money. Just think about it, Tucson girl. Think about it. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. The butt man. I know the butts. That's his butt. All right. Whoever had power of attorney of Miss Nancy, when she died, the power of attorney is out the door. Now, I'm not sure how that works since they can find Miss Nancy in the power of attorney. Well, can I tell you something, user? It already is working. Whatever, we don't even need to know because we see Annie and Tommaso with that swag in and out of the house, driving her car, boxing stuff up. Savannah's back at work. She doesn't care about any of this. This wasn't her job. It was theirs. So none of that matters. They obviously must be the power of attorneys or they wouldn't have access to all this shit. What do you think? I mean, come on, really? Do you really think you need a piece of paper to say, oh, I'm going to take all the stuff out of the house or I'm going to write a check when you always wrote checks? Come on, let's be real. Yeah, we're butt matching. That's his butt. Let's go. They can move their furniture in and exactly. Deb, I like how you're thinking. Ding, ding, ding. Now we see what happens next because earlier on, it's been 2 months. I told you guys what's going to happen with Nancy's house when she can't pay the bills or keep the pool up or mow the lawn or keep the, you know what I'm saying? On and on and on. And then you got this guy and you come back to these connections and everybody's connected to Annie and Tommaso. Wow, what a coincidence. Go figure.
Arrested for one of the earlier ransom note hoaxes, Derek Colella, somehow had both Annie and Tommaso's phone numbers. On top of that, Colella and Tommaso played the same music venues back when Tommaso was still performing as a musician. So the question hanging in the air is obvious. Is there a bigger connection here? Could Tommaso somehow be tied to these ransom notes himself?
Exactly. It's a possibility. Now, listen, MP Dutcher, you say power of attorney definitely would have ways to figure things out that need to be done. But listen here. You're talking about being declared dead. That is only, and I assure you, that is only for a life insurance policy. If they were already taking care of Nancy and making these people do the work and helping her, they already have access. Now, I never want to put myself in the predicament with these people, but I say that to say this. I have a mom and I'm very, very close to her. I would never think about it for any amount of money. I wouldn't trade for my mom. However, to say that is to say if something happened to her, no piece of paper would stop me from making sure her stuff was taken care of and kept up and she had somewhere to go if she came back. These people have the full access and you were seeing it right now. They don't need a piece of paper. All right. Now, the declaration of being dead is if there's a life insurance policy, which is going to be really hefty because at 84 years old with her conditions, that's going to be a big bill monthly to have even $500,000 as life insurance. All right, let's continue. I do not think the brother Cameron has anything to do with this, by the way.
So in my opinion, in high profile cases, it's not unusual for people under scrutiny to change their behavior. Whether that's intentional or just the pressure of the moment is unclear, but the difference hasn't gone unnoticed. And with all of this happening the same day those ransom notes surface, the timing is adding even more questions. Some are questioning whether the presence of violent crime investigators and the timing of those messages are connected, though there's no confirmed link. The ransom notes dropped first with their contradictory claims about Nancy being dead or alive in Mexico, and then within hours, Tommaso is seen at the house with what looks like law enforcement. Given that timing and how he appears to be changing his gait to avoid detection after sleuths notice the similarities, it has some wondering if Tommaso could have something to do with the ransom notes themselves, even if there's no hard evidence tying the two together yet. The public has waited 65 days for straight answers, and moments like this keep the suspicion and frustration growing. 2 ransom notes, conflicting stories, a key figure back at the scene, and after more than 60 days, still no answers.
And I still can't fathom not looking for your mom. All right. I haven't seen any of them doing searches. Now, Savannah, I'm not even going to say, all right, I'm not going to say anything about her. She can pay to have people search. I don't understand in that area. If mom's missing over 2 months, guys, I'm going to be thinking that she's probably not alive and that her body is somewhere near, because I can't imagine someone transporting a body to Mexico. I don't think that she lived much longer after she got out of that house, guys. Hey, Allie, I got a coconut Red Bull again. Let's continue. What's up, Wyatt? A declaration of being dead usually takes at least 7 years. You can push it through, but if you push it through, you better know that you're going to be the main suspect.
What do you think is really going on here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe and ring a bell so you can hang out with me in the chat right here. And if you watched it this far in the video, you deserve to know my nickname, which is Joey. So if you want to comment down below and say, hey, Joey, that's how I know you watched my video.
Hey, Joey, thank you. We appreciate you. Now we're going to talk about the demands that don't match life, don't match reality. Ransom demands don't match this at all whatsoever. And what could it be if it's not for a ransom? What else would it be for? All right, y'all tell me. C931746285763009. He's a former band member and they release him after writing that note. Tommaso walks like a duck. It must be a duck. What kind of clowns are running this investigation? Well, Barney Fife is running this investigation. I thought you knew. Different states do it differently. Yeah, but bottom line about that, bottom line, Nancy's not there. She's been gone for 2 months, and that house is unoccupied, and the only people that are going in and out are either law enforcement or Annie and Tommaso boxing things up and driving cars in and out. All right, let's continue. Let's get back to what I think about why those ransom notes don't match, or it doesn't seem like money is exactly what they're wanting. I thought we were on good. I thought you drank Red Bulls, or were you not allowed to? Did I do something wrong? I thought you were like cheering me, like, "Hey, cheers!" What you can't drink Red Bull? I'm confused. All right, I don't want to rub anything in your face. I thought you were drinking them too. All right, this guy. Love him. A lot of times I don't get to him. I can't get to him because he talks so slow. But in this one, I sped it up and it just makes 110% sense. Now, I believe it says Judge Brewer. He was a judge before he retired. And you can see his sheriff shirt back there, Charles Brewer. So we know he's in law enforcement. And you guys know this is Brew 50. I put it in the chat. I put it in the description. Let's go.
Guthrie case was ever about money, then none of this makes sense.
Hold on.
Today we're still on the ransom notes. I can't get away from it because, you know, if the Nancy Guthrie case was ever about money, then none of this makes sense. The ransom, the timing, the messages. Something about this case, it doesn't follow real world patterns. And when you break it down the right way, it starts to point somewhere far more concerning. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for being here. I do appreciate it. Now, if you're new here, please take a second to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Now,
and I did that. It's at Brew Crew 50. So go sub up to that. It's hard to watch this typically because I'm moving so fast all the time with topics. And this guy you could tell I'm from California by the fast pace. Like I live in a big city because everything is fast. All right. You don't just get to chill out and be like, hey, so I was going to talk to you guys today about this thing. No, that's not how we do. Let's go.
Let's get right on into this, because if you've been following the Nancy Guthrie case closely, you already feel it. Something about this isn't sitting right. Not just one thing, but multiple things. Today, we're not going to rush through headlines. We're going to slow down and look at this case the way that investigators do, through behavior, through patterns,
slow down,
through intent.
Slow down.
And I'm going to say this clearly right now, based on everything that's been publicly released, everything that we've seen, everything that we have analyzed up to.
Yes, everything makes sense what we're talking about right now. Now, Jay the Italian Cookie, if she had a caregiver, I wonder why they wouldn't talk about the caregiver. We've talked about the person that rented the house, and we've talked about every other person, the FedEx driver, the UPS package delivery, Uber driver. I don't know that. I don't think she has a caregiver. I think that Annie and Tommaso were the ones taking care of her. So I don't think that's the case. But do you know something I don't?
This point, this was never about money. And if that's true, then what we're dealing with is something far more dangerous. Now, let's start with what most people are holding on to, and that's the ransom.
Good point. That's a really freaking good point, Tracy. I didn't even think about, I've thought about all of this, but I really didn't think about, wait a minute, are they sending, she says, could they be sending the notes because they're trying to get the 7-year thing to move faster? And as of right now, all possibilities are on the table. And if you buy into this theory, then yeah, absolutely. Good call. I thought they did do lie detectors. I heard that they did lie detectors and everybody passed. But we also heard that the family's cleared too, which we know that's not to be true.
That's what gives this structure. That's what people want to believe explains all of this. But when you really break it down, it starts to fall apart. You've got someone asking for roughly a half Bitcoin, approximately $34,000 in exchange for information. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a demand. But when you step back, there is, I believe, $1.2 million in reward money that's available. So now the question becomes, why would someone with real information choose a much smaller amount instead of going after something significantly larger?
Again, I think all of these are red herrings in this case. None of it, if something doesn't make sense, guys, it's not true. Now, as much as I'd like to just be like, we're in the Twilight Zone, we're not in the Twilight Zone. We're in reality. And in reality, ransom notes don't make sense if you're not trying to get the money. Those people or person hasn't even come back to say, hey, I know I asked for $6 million last time, but you know what? She's dead. You didn't do it on time. Give me my money and I'll tell you where the body is. We're not getting that. We're getting these little weird scammer people allegedly that are sending shit to TMZ so the world can see. That is not how kidnappings for ransom work, period. Me too.
And far less exposure. It just doesn't make sense to me. That's not how real world ransom behavior works.
Nope.
And from a law enforcement perspective, this Nancy Guthrie ransom situation raises serious red flags, because when the numbers don't match the motive, then the motive is wrong.
Yes.
And when the motive is wrong, you have to ask, what is this really about? Now,
amen, sir. See, I like this guy. He said, slow down, Jay. Listen here. Come on, think again. And I've been thinking about this the whole time. You can't even say this is a kidnapping for ransom money when that doesn't match what's happening here. If it doesn't match, then something's wrong. All right. I don't know. Gigi, is she?
Let's ground this in reality, because real ransom cases are structured. They're controlled. They are deliberate. clear demands, clear instructions with minimal exposure. Why?
Minimal
Because
exposure.
every second of exposure increases risk.
Yep.
But here we're seeing something very different. We're seeing communication that is inconsistent. It's all public and it's prolonged. This is going into 3 months. This is not a normal ransom situation. And all of that matters because real offenders trying to get paid, they don't behave like this.
Nope.
Now, this is not how real kidnapping ransom cases operate. They don't invite attention. They avoid it. But here someone keeps stepping back into the spotlight. And when someone keeps stepping into the spotlight, they're not trying to stay hidden. Now, let's talk about something critical. Where these messages are going. They're not going.
Yeah, let's talk about where the messages are going and where they should be going. Now, Julie Bug, I 110% think that Savannah literally pissed them off. Them or the person that originally said it. The tone changed. The words changed. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, she's dead. Just give me half of this and we'll move on. That absolutely was like Savannah telling them, I got the control back. You can't control me. I believe in God and Jesus, and I have strength. And if we don't ever find her body, well, guess what? That's how I feel that message was taken by those people. Yeah, 35,000. No, allegedly not the real ones, but I don't think this is real. I don't think they're real.
Going to the family, they're not controlled channels. They're going to the media, and that's just not normal behavior.
TMZ.
Sending ransom notes to the media instead of the family is just not how this works. Because once you involve the media, you lose control of everything. Yep. Unless control is not the goal, unless exposure is. And when exposure becomes the goal, this is no longer about transaction. This becomes about impact. And when something becomes about
He's an ex-judge and an ex-sheriff. I can see back here it says Charles Brewer. There's his sheriff outfit. Usually judges come from being law enforcement or, they come from that background. So to me, he was a sheriff and then a judge, I believe. But you can go check out his channel. It's at Brew Crew 50 and it's in the description.
Impact, it becomes personal. Now, we get into the part that matters most here because once you remove money, you're left with something else. Intent, emotion, connection. This kind of behavior, this continued communication, the pressure, that doesn't come from someone detached. It comes from someone who is invested. And in many cases, that means awareness because random offenders, they don't stay engaged like this. But someone connected, they do. And when someone stays connected, they're not done. Let's go deeper because every message and every note, every communication, it creates uncertainty. And uncertainty creates pressure. And when that pressure is intentional, it becomes control because now this is no longer just about what happened. It's about what continues to happen. That's not escape. That is engagement. And when someone is still engaged, they're still watching. Now, I want you to really stay with me here because this is where everything shifts.
Definitely.
What if this was never about money? What if it's not even about Nancy anymore?
Now, this doesn't even, and what if it's not about money? I won't go farther with that for a second. He said, what if it's not about Nancy? That makes sense. The moment that the kidnapping for ransom wasn't for ransom anymore, I'm like, what could be the motive? What could be the possible motive? If you're not kidnapping somebody for money, then for what? I mean, there's got to be a motive behind it, and it doesn't make sense. All right? So that's where we are with this.
What if this is about impact? What if this is about causing pain? And more specifically, what if the pain is directed to certain people? Because every time a message comes out, especially referencing Nancy in a negative or final way, it does one thing. It creates emotional damage, not just uncertainty, not just fear, but sustained psychological pain.
She certainly could be, but listen to what he's talking about, the psychological pain, the fear. Now, the community's already making changes. They've got the HOA out there, and they're putting, they are suggesting or probably going to put into place that all of those houses and the streets now have cameras and surveillance. That's how freaking much they're making changes. The public is scared. They don't want that. Now, if Nancy's in Mexico, why not get a ransom for her, MM? That's what I want to know. And I'm not asking you to answer me. I'm just saying, why wouldn't you? If you take her to Mexico, you're using your money, your gas, you're feeding her, you're taking care of her. Or let's say they took her life and there's a body. You just get nothing out of it? That makes 0 sense. She's in Mexico for what? I don't get it. I'm confused. Mini Winnie, do you have we were going to get one of those RVs. They have a Mini Winnie. You got a Mini Winnie? Is it an RV or is that just your name? Oh, of course. All right. Teresa's in the house. Guys, we have 368 people in chat. If you would do me a favor, hit that like button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, please. And thank you. And we still have a goal up. Let's continue.
And here's the hard question. If that's the intent, what does it mean for this case? Because if someone is driven by that level of emotion, that level of control, that level of fixation, they will never stop. They never provide closure. So will they ever lead investigators to Nancy?
Now, I want to say something. Will they ever lead back to Nancy? But I ask you, and I bring this up again because I brought it up 2 days ago, and then I went digging, and somebody else said the same thing. They're thinking about making the letters public. Allegedly, there's talk behind the scenes. It's been 2 months. There's talk behind the scenes about making all of the ransom notes public so that somebody could come forward like the Unabomber. They made the Unabomber's manifesto. They made it public, and there you go. It's his brother. That's my brother-in-law. I know his writing. That's it. Sure enough, they caught the Unabomber. So there is talks in the works, allegedly, about making these public so somebody can come forward and say, I know who that is. That person always says time is of an essence or what have you. All right. Just think of it that way. To hide or in case the dispose of the body. Right. Thank you. I didn't really mean you had to answer, but I mean, we don't know. Like, that's the only way they take her to Mexico to hide her or dispose of the body. But what did they get out of that? What did they get out of doing all that? That I just ask you that question. I don't know the answer.
Or will they continue to send messages or apply pressure, reopen the wound over and over again? Because if the intent is pain, closure may never be part of the plan.
Oh, so cute.
And I want you to think about that, because how much can someone endure? How much can a family take when they are constantly reminded of something that they don't have answers to? And if that pressure continues, what's the goal? Is it control, reaction, or is it to force someone out of the public eye? These are questions that,
again, these aren't questions we can answer, but hey, are they thinking she's alive? I don't think anybody at this point thinks she's alive. Now, we all pray for her, but I don't think realistically anyone thinks she's alive. I think Savannah, of all people, has come to the realization, knowing how close she is to her mom and her health, that she's probably no longer with us. So no, I'm going to have to say no. All right, let's continue. And Mini Schnauzer. Oh my God, I wanted one of those so bad, but I got Bichons instead, and I love them.
have to be asked. They're hard questions, but they have to be asked. Because if that's the intent, this is no longer just a crime. This becomes something else entirely. And it all matters, because behavior tells us this. You know, this is directed. And when behavior is directed, there's a target. Now, before we close this out, I want to bring this all back to where it belongs, to Nancy. Because at the center of all of this is an 84-year-old mother, a grandmother, who was taken in the dark of the night. And right now there's a family that's living in uncertainty. So as we move through the day and the rest of this week and even going into the weekend, let's talk about her. Share her story. Say her name. Because listen, attention, it creates pressure. And pressure creates movement. And to the person responsible or the person who just knows something, there's still time to do the right thing. And if you believe in real analysis, if you want deeper breakdowns of the Nancy Guthrie case, make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. And drop your thoughts below. Was this ever about money or something else? And if this video made you think, share it out to someone.
And I just shared it out to all of you because we're now going to talk about reality and the DNA that law enforcement has. All right. So come on in, hit that like button. That's Brew Crew 50. He is in. Guys, everybody, just so you know, they're in my description if I'm playing a video of somebody. So yeah, if mods want to drop a link to him, that'd be great. But it's always in the description, my friends. I would love to tell everyone all day though. All right, so listen, we're giving this out at the end of the show today. Let's get to the goal so we can do that. Also, I don't care about the goal really anymore. I mean, I care. That's cool if you guys make it, but you got to have a membership. There's a lot of people in here that are black. You guys are not in the green. And if you want to win this and win memberships and all that, you can either gift a membership or get a membership. Thank you, guys. We're not going to quit talking about Nancy. I know, we're totally not. All right, so we're going to go back to this guy. We're still looking at the porch guy. And let me see. So we talked about quite a bit today. And as far as the kidnapping goes and the evidence, I think DNA is really the only thing that we have a chance at when it comes back. We're going to talk about that right now. All right, we need justice for Nancy, of course. Why would anyone risk transporting a dead body all the way to Mexico? I know, that's what I'm thinking too, but we don't know if she was dead, if she was still, but 100% I agree with you. Yep, I think that Mexico thing is a theory, and that's it. I really just don't, right? You also can go to our website as well. I think Tiff is still here. Any of the mods can drop a link. It's on guiltyofcrime.com. Hit the merch button. You can buy your own Guilty of Crime, whatever you want. All right. Thank you. And then the connections. All right. All right. Now we're going to get to the DNA though. And then we'll come back around. Oh man, that food smells good. My Mrs. Guilty's making some dinner. Oh my goodness. I'm so hungry, guys. All right. Renowned DNA expert investigator should return to Nancy Guthrie's house. New technology could solve this case. Now, I want you guys to really just open your minds up about what's been happening over the last 30 years. It's amazing. What's happened over the last 30 years is, right, we've caught the Golden State Killer. We just got Rex Heuermann to plead guilty to 8 murders, knowing that he probably did much more. And all of these guys were off of the radar because of the technology that we didn't have. Now we have it. Okay. Hey, CM, now we have the technology. And I'm going to tell you something right now. We're going to be talking with the DNA expert that says there's new technology right now that's happening that can solve this case faster than ever. Now, I'm not even talking about just genetic genealogy. That's what caught Brian Koberger. That's what caught the Golden State Killer. That's what got, I think, Rex Heuermann and the pizza crust. Pizza crust solved that damn case. They were looking at Rex Heuermann because some people were like, he looks like an ogre. They followed him around Manhattan. He threw his pizza away, didn't eat the crust, and bam. Now you go. Now we've got this monster locked up. All right. 2 minutes. All right, let's continue. I'm not even to that yet. All right. Oh.
Sorting that out behind the scenes. In this episode, you're going to hear from a renowned DNA expert and genealogist, CeCe Moore.
Now, this just came out minutes before I went on. So thank you guys for being here. I was like, yes, DNA, that's what I want. All right. Now, you have my number, Mab. Whenever I'm gonna go off, like I'm stopping and I'm saying bye, guys. I don't mind sending people to your chat or Patriot Pride. Just shoot me a text rather than in chat, because I don't want people running off to somewhere else while I'm still streaming. But if you text me and say, hey, Jay, I'm streaming, or Patriot Pride, I can send everybody over there. All right? That's what I was saying. Thank you. Let's go. This case is very solvable. I agree. They have that DNA evidence, guys. All right, let me just do this for the sake of. All right. That's for baby guilty.
She has some really interesting things to say about what could be happening to try to sort out this DNA issue. First of all, why she believes they should be going back to the crime scene, even now, even after the crime scene has been cleared, and what they should be doing there. She explains that. She also talks about this new machine that is coming out next year. And I know next year seems like a long way away, but these DNA technologies advance so quickly. She explains how this new machine could really help with this DNA issue that she suspects is happening behind the scenes with the Nancy Guthrie case. She also talks about why she would urge Savannah Guthrie to plead with some of these DNA companies like Ancestry.com, why she thinks someone like Savannah.
They definitely need to plead with them, because some of them now, after the Brian Koberger and Golden State Killer, they put a clause in there that it's not open for anybody. It's sealed. You do your DNA and nobody can have access to it. Michael says, come on, y'all. Jay works hard. If she isn't worth a couple of thumbs up, hit that like button. Thank you. I appreciate it. Who has a loss? Lisa, you okay? Anyway, prayers for all those that need prayers. Chat's going a little fast, and I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe, and get yourself a membership, because we're giving away this at the end of the show, and you got to be a member. All right, let's take a look at these over dramatic people.
Anna should be going to them because they don't open up their databases to law enforcement, which a lot of people don't realize, which she's going to explain in this episode. But it's a fascinating conversation because, again, it's such a complicated world when it comes to DNA, and it's emerging so quickly, and there are all these private companies now getting involved, and there's a lot happening behind the scenes that could really help advance the Nancy Guthrie case, and Cece's going to explain that. I'm joined now by genetic genealogist Cece Moore. Cece, it's always nice to see.
Now, let me tell you guys quickly, you guys do know that they found DNA, right? You know that they found DNA that didn't belong in the house, right? I just want you to understand that there was DNA from everybody that was supposed to be there, which could be a bad sign too. That could mean it's them, but they also have DNA that matches nobody. And I think it's mixed in with Nancy Guthrie's DNA from what they're alluding to. All right. I know exactly. But we don't even know what else is on the cameras yet. We don't know what they have. FBI is not, they don't have any reason to tell us, especially when they're trying to solve a case and they don't want the people to flee or to lose their tracking on them. All right. All right. Good night, Braddy. Good to see you.
See you. It's been a while since I talked to you. I had you on my show kind of towards the beginning of the Nancy Guthrie investigation, and things just got so crazy. I really wanted to check back in with you because I was curious what you think is happening behind the scenes now with the DNA. The latest I've heard is the sheriff said, that there was still stuff happening behind the scenes with the DNA. He hasn't given a lot of specifics. What do you think? What do you think is going on?
I think that companies or a company that was planning to release a new mixture deconvolution software package has probably rushed that. You know how companies, especially tech companies, have a plan for the next year or so. They say, oh, we're going to do that third quarter next year. I suspect that has been moved up to right now. And it's very possible that they are testing out different algorithms at the moment to see if they can deconvolute that complex mixture. I fear that it's the only thing they may have to work with right now. I'm hoping that they are testing additional items from Nancy's home. That can take quite a while if you've collected dozens or hundreds.
And again, isn't that weird? And again, weird. I don't even want to say weird. Is there a better word for that? Is it ironic? Is it coincidental? What's happening with, why is FBI still in and out of the house while the two that were taking care of Nancy's still in the house, in and out, in and out? What are they doing there? Do you guys think that there's a possibility that they could have a tap on the place, that they could be in there and they can put something where they can record audio and hear Annie and Tommaso talking about it, or whoever comes to the house talking about it? Do you think that's plausible? Because they're there. They were just there yesterday, going in and out with those people. Not Nancy, Annie and Tommaso going in and out. So what do you think they're doing there? And we're back, Mab says. You think? Yeah, I do. I do too. I think that FBI is being strategic. And while the DNA is getting tested and sorted and what have you, they have people on their radar. All right. And yes, Mofront, I absolutely have been saying, instead of a distraction, I call them red herrings. But yes, distraction, red herrings, what have you. Let's continue.
Hundreds of swabs or other materials, because as I've said, I can't believe there wouldn't be his DNA or their DNA at that crime scene.
Explain to me what you mean by that. So you think there's a company that had some kind of new technology that was going to come out, that because the Nancy Guthrie case is so high visibility, they would be moving that up? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's my educated guess based on what the sheriff has said. He said something about how, they were rushing this. He didn't say what it was, but that is my guess, because deconvolution is a huge part of forensic DNA analysis. And there have been, efforts to deconvolute on the STR side.
Now, why are we talking about deconvolute? Because that's what law enforcement originally said at the beginning. There was only DNA from the people that should be there. The other DNA went to CODIS and matches nobody with a record. Now they're deconvoluting the DNA so that when they separate it, they can do genetic genealogy with 1, 2, 3andMe, whatever those companies are. All right, let's continue. I can't, if they don't have taps and videos, I would be very surprised. I can't imagine just opening up a crime scene and letting people take stuff out of it, move stuff back and forth. Those would be your number one suspects, guys. All right. I think they're confused because the DNA is. Yep.
For decades, and they have a lot of software packages that they can work with. But we've only been using SNP testing for forensic samples since around 2018. And that means that it is lagging behind. It wouldn't be able to use the same types of software packages. At Parabon, our bioinformatics scientists are really amazing with deconvolution, but they are sort of leading the pack there. And I think there are a lot of efforts to be able to improve our ability, because we run into that so often with sexual assaults, or as the technology becomes more sensitive with transfer DNA, the ability to detect the tiniest amount of DNA that someone leaves behind really increases the likelihood you're going to get a mixture.
So yeah, I actually did hear about that, and I wasn't sure if they were still working on the case. I didn't know if it was security she hired or a private eye. So good looking out, guys. I do think she did hire somebody. I don't know where that's going, and they have no reason to talk to us. Hey, Danny's mom, 1981. How are you? All right, let's continue. Okay, Jay, I send a text. Yes, please. Just whenever you or Patriot, while I'm streaming, if you want me to send people over to you, man, just let me know and I'll send them over. I just want to see you guys grow. All right. You guys are doing fantastic work, by the way. You guys all love Mab, Patriot Pride Official. Those guys are my kind of guys. If they were local, we would be out shooting guns with each other, right? Just saying. All right, let's go. Well, Mab's here. We can go shoot guns. Do you do that? All right, let's continue.
Sure, right? Like on a doorknob, for instance. So to me, that makes the most sense. I don't have any insider information that that's what's going on, but I know that Straya Forensics, for example, in UC Santa Cruz is really groundbreaking, and they have certain packages like that they sell to the other labs that are doing forensic genetic genealogy work and creating those SNP profiles. Now, at Parabon, our expertise with mixture is on microarray. So microarray is this SNP chip where they put the DNA on there and it reads about 700,000 genetic markers across the genome, those SNPs, those single nucleotide polymorphisms. But many of the companies that are working with law enforcement to create these SNP profiles are using sequencing.
And right now we're all learning together, guys. All right. My whole show was going to talk about the DNA, and then this comes out, and I'm like, oh, I got to do this. I know I'm hungry and everything, but we got to do this. Now, I totally thought that, Tucson girl, only because they pointed it out so hard. What if A&T staged the back doors propped open to make it seem like an attempted robbery gone bad, but didn't realize the perps hurt Nancy and her blood dripped out of the front, et cetera, et cetera. Now here, I ask you another question, because they had to have seen the blood at the front door. That's where they allegedly went in. So why didn't they mention that blood to Savannah? Oh, we think we've already called 911. We think she's been kidnapped. They're setting this narrative up and talking about the back doors being propped open. I'm trying to remember what channel I heard it on. Yeah, boot. I did hear about a boot, but it might have been on X. A lot of things are going on X that aren't making it over here. All right, let's continue.
Genome sequencing. And right now there's really no good techniques to deconvolute on those. And so we run all of our mixtures through microarray, and they do very well there. But if you are exclusively using that whole genome sequencing, you're going to really, really struggle with mixtures. And so I know there's been a lot of work to try to deconvolute using that platform versus microarray. So I suspect there are a number of people that are working as fast as they can, trying to figure out a way to work with these more complex mixtures. Nancy's case is certainly the one that is making this a top priority, but it's something that we really need in the field anyway.
So do you think, I know there's more and more of these companies out there now as this technology emerges.
Now, remember, Sheriff Nanos was in charge of this DNA, and he sent it to where he wanted to go. Now, it could be because he gets kickbacks from that company. I just don't know. All right. Brian didn't head on Genius. What? I think some of you guys do talk to text. I do want to tell you that I wonder why. Now, Maureen O'Connell brought this up. Why hasn't FBI released a profile of this guy? There's no FBI profile or FBI anything. There's no, just profile. I guess a profile of the suspect, even if they're going to put the mask on it, they don't have a real solid profile. It's some Hispanic looking guy with a mustache, and it's changed several times. It's just weird. Doesn't make sense.
Would they be sort of fighting to get involved with this case because it's so high profile, because they could be the ones that end up in the headlines if they are able to? And you said, is it deconvolute? Is that the word you use?
Right. So when you're
that essentially, is that breaking it apart, since we know it's mixed? The sheriff has said the DNA was mixed.
Yeah, the term for extracting out one person's DNA from that is deconvolution. So if you're trying to deconvolute that mixture and find that unknown perpetrator's DNA, that is the term that is used, and that's the technique.
And obviously they're getting better and better at it. What has happened over the years is that you lose some of that DNA just over time, right? And so sometimes they don't have enough to do the deconvoluting, like she's saying. So I believe that's what they're working on now. Because listen, look at the cases that they've solved 30 years later. They had that DNA. It matched nobody because the person never got in trouble again. And bam, all of a sudden. All right. Let's continue. I'm trying to read your comments are all great today. Hit that like button, would you?
That's used as well. And so, yes, I think there's a good chance that people would like to make their name on, being a deconvolution expert on this case because it is so high profile and it does provide a platform for somebody to help solve it and, again, make a name for themselves or their company. So I think that's possible. But there's also companies behind the scenes that really aren't looking for that type of recognition that could.
Right. The recognition that Sheriff Nanos wanted, but he can't get out of his own way. Now, I did want to also bring up Brian Martin, who's a cold case detective. He talked about Nancy Guthrie's case and said it's not yet cold, despite the amount of days that have passed. The ongoing investigative techniques, guys, and digital information as well as surveillance, that's what they're working on right now. Now, again, Brian Martin, who's a cold case detective, he's the one that suggested that they release the ransom notes to the public so that somebody might recognize the penmanship, the verbiage, or even specific misspellings, which can be a very vital lead, guys. All right. So this guy says it's entirely possible that law enforcement has suspects in mind and is waiting for the genetic genealogy results to come back. All right. So think about that. There was DNA in the house, and they did get items from the house that were discarded, and they sent it to the forensic lab, and we just don't know what's happening. All right, let's continue.
Could be working with DNA Labs International and trying to help them push that forward. So it's not necessarily a competing company. It could be a company like Estrella that partners with a lot of the labs that do this work.
I heard you say somewhere that you think there needs to be a second crime scene. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's not that I think there needs to be, but I think that if they have collected all of the potential DNA at the residence and all they've ended up with is this complex.
I don't think so. I don't think that, I don't think anyone would want, Sheriff Nanos definitely, but no, I don't think FBI. Why would FBI want some private eye that gets paid a bunch of money? I don't see why they would share their information. Maybe you guys know. My answer is just based on, I really don't know, but I doubt it. I mean, why would they? And what do you mean? Does people get bloody when they're stabbed? Absolutely. Did I miss something? All right. You're local, and yes, you shoot guns. Israel might be the real perp. All right, let's continue. Oh, that was awesome. You guys, Deanna just gifted 5 guilty of crime memberships. If you received one, please thank her. I thank you. Thank you. All right.
DNA mixture, then my hope is that they will discover a second crime scene somewhere where Nancy was held, or perhaps the car that she was transported in, because that gives a whole nother opportunity for finding the DNA of the perpetrator. And so if they've not been successful in finding a good source of his DNA at Nancy's home, my hope is they'll get another chance. Now, the really sad part of that is, if they find her body, if she's deceased, that gives them another opportunity. And so I don't think it's the end.
Yeah, I don't think it's the end either. And I just think that Nancy is probably closer to home than all of us think. And that's why I can't fathom that they're not doing searches. I mean, they did searches for Jack and Lily. They did searches for Sebastian. Why aren't they doing searches, or are they? Is there anybody that's local that knows what the hell's happening right now? Because all I'm seeing is like JRL and all these other guys standing outside of the house. But why is there not a crew? Why isn't Annie and Tommaso on foot looking for a body at this point? I just don't get it. All right, let's continue. Does anyone know why they're not physically searching for her body?
I'm really hoping that this, just doesn't go quiet and we never hear anything again. And so that there was a grandfather kidnapped in Australia, and it was apparently mistaken identity. It happened right around the same time as Nancy's case, and I was surprised more people didn't talk about it. But they found a second crime scene. They found a location where he had been held, and that gave them a lot of additional evidence. And so that's what really kind of got me thinking.
Now, guys, there's got to be a second crime scene because they took her body. Now, that crime scene can just be the vehicle that they took her in. She could have lost a lot of blood there, and then they drove straight through to Mexico and dumped her body. Or not. Or they said, you know what? Look at this. We have prime opportunity in this area. We're going to get rid of her. She died. She's no good to us. Let's try to get a ransom 2 days later, right? All right, let's continue. Yeah, why didn't they search? Why search when you know? Well, they don't know where she is. That's the whole problem. They're not even pretending to search. I've got Guthrie fatigue. Me too. Damn it.
In that way.
That makes sense. If they don't, though, and all they have is this DNA sample from the house, which we know is mixed, and they're having maybe trouble with it, eventually, and you mentioned the emerging technology and these different companies, eventually, will they definitely be able to crack it, or is there a chance that they couldn't?
I don't know the proportions in that mixture. It depends how many people are in it and what the percentages of those profiles are, and which one is the perpetrator, or which ones, right? There could be 5 people in that. And the person they're trying to identify, if they're even in that mixture, might only be 10%. And the chances of identifying somebody with, that small of a contribution, I think, is unlikely, even with advancements.
Yeah, you see, so we just don't know what happened to that DNA. We do know Nano sent it off to his preferred lab without telling FBI, without sharing anything. And yeah, Vicky, if that was my mom, I'd be out searching every single day too, after work, that is. I mean, I would go back to work. In all honesty, when people are talking shit about Savannah, I don't think she needs to be there. I don't see the reason why she needs to be there. She needs to be taking care of her children. She needs to continue taking care of her household. She needs to continue with her job, because you can't keep up your $40 million lifestyle if you're not working. Just saying. All right. I saw there's a guy with a motorcycle out there on YouTube looking in the desert. Why isn't there search teams out there? All right. Math ain't mathin'. I agree.
Saying it would never happen, but I think it is extremely challenging. But without knowing specifically what this mixture is that they're working with, it's hard for me to predict. I still believe that there has to be the perpetrator or perpetrators' DNA at that crime scene. And I've done some interviews and talked about this, and I see headlines saying that I'm giving the FBI advice. I'm not giving the FBI advice. I've been asked, what would I do if it was my case? I would have crime scene investigators return to that home and continue trying to find sources of the DNA, because DNA is quite hardy. It lasts. I've worked cases.
No, I don't think she realizes that they are back there. And we showed you earlier today that FBI is back at the house. So I wonder what they're doing back at the house. All right. We've got aristocratic. I'm going to stop there. Tucson girl, you're right. Or maybe Savannah or Nancy treated their workers like slaves. I don't know. There has to be a reason for the kidnapper to kidnap Nancy. I'm with you, because it ain't a ransom. I'll tell you that much.
Is where they've detected DNA decades later. And some of my cases where we think we're dealing with the perpetrator's DNA, it's actually DNA from someone who lived in that home many, many years earlier. So I believe that it's possible that that person that needs to be identified, or persons, do have DNA at that crime scene, even if it hasn't been collected yet. The other possibility is a hair, a rootless hair. That's where Estrella comes in again. Estrella Forensics they are that groundbreaking company out there in UC Santa Cruz that is helping us solve cases with rootless hair, which scientists said would never be possible. But Dr. Ed Green there has made it possible. And I personally have helped solve a handful of cases that only had rootless hair and no other evidence, no other physical evidence. And so it's really hard to go somewhere and not leave something behind, some kind of DNA, or even just a hair. Even with how that person was dressed, it's still very, very possible, and I think probable, that something was left behind.
Yeah, 2 follow-up questions on that. Rootless hair, so is typically the DNA found?
Why aren't the same people coming back? And good night, anybody that's leaving. Have a good evening. Tomorrow's Friday. We'll be back at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Have a good night to whoever's out of here. We're still giving away that Nike bag after this. So hit that like button, get yourself a membership, what have you. Exactly. I couldn't have said this better. Nobody kidnaps a person without a reason. If the motive was not money, then the motive must be revenge, torture, revenge, pain. And it pissed them off. You guys saw it. You saw it on Easter. You saw it when when Savannah went back to work and she released that Easter video. It pissed those guys off bad. The whole tone of their letter changed, and all of a sudden she's dead. That's what they literally use the word, she's dead. Good night, Gigi. Are you out of here? Hello, Cynthia. How are you? I think they would be quiet at the house. Huh.
Found in the root part of the hair that's like sticking out of that's in your head. Is that right?
Yeah. So traditionally, that's when hair has been useful, is when it has a root. A root is a great source of DNA. But there are thousands of cases that have rootless hair, just the hair shaft, broken off hair. And they've always been told that that's not helpful. You're not going to be able to get useful DNA or a profile from that. But
see, none of us really knew that unless you were studying, DNA or forensic DNA. I didn't know that. Let's continue. We do need to help find Nancy. That's a whole purpose. Bring Nancy home. And I want to tell you guys, no matter what, I can sympathize with Savannah. I can't sympathize with Annie, though. I just can't. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about her. I don't care about her doing Wiccan or any of that. It's just something about her and Tommaso rubbed me the wrong way. Savannah, I think nothing but the best. I don't care what people say. I would probably do the same thing, and Mama Pearl knows that. Mama Pearl would do that too. You can't just sit around crying. And that's what Nancy Guthrie taught Savannah, is to keep on going and to be strong. All right. So remember that. You think she's in Sonora, Mexico? All right. Let's continue.
Thanks to the brilliant Dr. Ed Green, we are able to use that to identify someone through investigative genetic genealogy. So he found a way to extract a SNP profile from that rootless hair, which allows us to make that preliminary identification. And then, of course, law enforcement has to follow that lead.
This lady is just giving me I have homework tonight, you guys. Wow. And the bees, you can tell for sure Savannah is a good soul, right? All I could do is sympathize, empathize, whatever. But I don't know. I'm not buying their story.
Look for other evidence, etc. But it has been very, very successful, and it will continue to be so. It's really the most recent advancement. There was investigative genetic genealogy, which was a huge jump forward, but then there was the rootless hair technique that was another big jump forward.
It's so interesting that it's people in private industry and at different universities that are making these advancements, because I think like outsiders like me just assume like, oh, the FBI, they would be the ones to have the best.
No, these private these private laboratories, guys, those private laboratories are funded by people that are in Silicon Valley. Now, when I moved here, I had no idea what San Jose or Silicon Valley really even meant or was. But there's a lot of people that came here to put money. There's angel investors, there's investors, and there's a whole area that I read about in Silicon Valley that is just investor after investor waiting to hand their money over to these labs to make those leaps in forensics and genealogy and DNA and new products and even cell phones. All right. So that's where I am right now. Those people get the most money because they're given money by the investors and the private investors. Whereas FBI doesn't have the money. They don't have free money just coming in like that. They're funded much differently. Yes, tech money. The tech money out here, and I didn't know what Silicon Valley meant. I had no idea. When I moved out here because of Mama. I had no idea, but now that I do, I'm like, damn, I can see why Google's here. I can see why a bunch of the big companies are here in Silicon Valley, because they run off of the funding. All right. Anyway, now you learned something new, and we all learned about DNA.
Of the best. and everything would just go to Quantico. But it sounds like there's different companies and different professors at different places throughout the country that specialize in different things that could be helpful.
Yeah, I think there are people who won't take no for an answer, whether they're in government or private industry. And those are the people that are really pushing this forward. You know, we were told we would never be able to use autosomal SNP DNA for genealogical purposes. And we proved that wrong. And then we were told you'd never be able to get usable DNA from a hair shaft. And now,
of course it's wrong. We're going to create such technology that we don't even need ourselves anymore, right? Here in Silicon Valley, most of the fast foods, which we don't like fast food, we rarely eat it, but when we do, they're all ran by kiosks now, guys. There's people in the back working and flipping burgers or what have you. Most of them don't speak English and they don't interact with the customers. All right. Golden Hen, good to see you and thank you so much. You say, and I'm like, yes. Hey Jay, remember the Amazon package she received? Nancy must have had an Amazon device, Alexa, which is always listening to all conversations unless you personally flip a button off. So still many avenues to check. 110% I agree. And FBI is not going to tell us what they're working on. All right. Yeah, no, absolutely, Deb.
You know, they've proven that wrong. Dr. Ed Green and his team has proven that wrong. And so I don't think it's necessarily government versus private. It's just that type of person who doesn't take no for an answer, doesn't believe that, and even takes it as a challenge. Oh, you say I can't do this? I'm going to find a way to do it.
Right. And you mentioned going back to the scene. Do you think that they should do that even now? I mean, because we know that, you know, I've been out there when family.
Thank you so much, Carol, for the $5 super sticker. I appreciate you. Clementine came out of the bushes and said, I don't have an Alexa and I get packages from Amazon all the time. That's true, but you're probably the 10% of people that don't have it. Not only that, if she's using her phone and you say, hey, Siri. So, I mean, good point on that. She doesn't have to have that. We don't know if she has that, but that's the bottom line is we don't know what they have. We talked about the cameras on the roof 2 days ago, guys. We don't even know what was on those. If they captured all that from the Ring footage that we've seen, and it's not much, what about the other? I'm not muted. No, I'm not. But Tiff, am I muted? Because I'm definitely not muted, my friend. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me now? I'm not muted. All right, let's continue.
Members have gone in and people have gone in and out. You know, the prosecutors were there one day. There was moving people there. Would it still be beneficial despite all these people going in and out since they cleared the scene?
Well, I wish that hadn't happened, but yes, because they know who's been in and out. So their DNA can still be eliminated. It's still been a relatively small number of people inside the house. Now, outside the house might be a different story. And so I don't know what they're working with. I mean,
right. And listen, Ann and Tim also have full access in the house. I wonder what it is that they're doing in there. I heard they're packing it up and selling things. Is that? And what's up, Kel? Good to see you. You guys, I hope you guys are very welcoming to Kel. Kel is one of our newest mods here, and she's here every day. The other girls have been with me so damn long. They're like, I don't want to hear that today. I'm not just kidding. Just love you ladies. Just playing. But shout out to Kel. All right. Give her a warm welcome because she's new here and we have good people here. And that's all. All right. Let's continue. I missed something, I think, but I'm going to have to keep going. I don't know what I missed.
It's possible they do have a viable DNA profile right now, and we just don't know it, and they're working behind the scenes. But if they don't, I don't want, this to be the end of it. And so to me, if a second crime scene isn't found soon or Nancy is not found soon, then the next best thing would be to return to that known crime scene and see if they can find DNA. Because if he was there for 40 minutes or 42 minutes, which I have heard is a theory, then it's almost impossible not to leave your DNA behind. And I've talked about this a lot, about that bite flashlight that he appears to have in his mouth. You would be leaving saliva. I just don't see how you.
And again, I keep coming back to that bite light. Oh, you were muted. Synth was muted. How am I supposed to know? You're a mod and you're saying muted. I'm like, what? We love you, Synth. That's all I got to say about that. We love you too, just as much as Kel and Holly and Mama Pearl. Well, Mama Pearl's different. You know, that Mama Pearl's like up there. Okay, there's God, and then there's Mama Pearl, and then there's everybody else. Just saying. All right. If they're packing up and selling things, what the hell? Really? It's about, I'm telling you, where have you been, Michelle Woodman? Where have you been? My goodness. All right, let's continue. And I don't mean that sarcastically. I'm just saying, yes.
Wouldn't, when he leaned over to try to disable the camera, I think it would have been very hard not to slobber onto the ground below that, but also in the home. If he was giving any sort of oral commands, he would have had to take that out of his mouth, and he would have immediately had plentiful DNA on the outside of those gloves. And so unless he changed his gloves, he very well would have left something. But somebody wrote to me yesterday talking about this, because I've been talking about it a lot, and they said they have used those bite lights and that a lot of saliva is produced and a lot of slobber ends up happening. And that was exactly my theory. I've never used one, but it only makes sense. And so I think that there is likely saliva at that scene, but it's really hard to know where, right? And to collect that, even if you're a very expert crime scene investigator, it's a hard thing to predict. But, you know, there's that whole house there. If the person,
that whole damn house, and I bet you most of everything is going to come from that bedroom, because whoever came into the house came in at 2:00, 2 something in the morning. Okay, I assure you that that was by design, and that Nancy was not awake, not hanging out watching TV. All right, so whatever they did with her, they didn't take. We know she didn't take our slippers, but we don't know about anything else in the room. We hear that the place was immaculate. So what happened? Did ghosts come from somewhere and lift her up and transport her? And when they transported her, she dropped a little blood? I don't understand. Yeah, what about the rug? That's too late. That rug is, you can't even if they used that rug and they found the DNA from somebody that was a perpetrator, it's almost too late. You can't go to trial with that. If I were the perpetrator and you brought me to trial on that rug that everybody was on, I'd say, what the hell are you talking about? I delivered a package there months ago, whatever. You know what I'm saying? All right. Hey, Jay, I'm here. Maybe my message. I'm working, been listening the whole time, girly. Well, thank you, Melissa. Good to see you, my friend. Twin mommy, 2 boys. I admire how hard you work. All right. Yeah, I don't know. They're not bringing the children into this at all. So I don't even really want to talk about the children, but if anyone knows, you can go back and forth and chat.
I was in the bedroom. They were clearly in the living room, the back door, in front. I still think it's worth trying if they don't have a viable DNA sample. I just don't want, them to give up. I don't want any of us to have to give up. And so, no, it's not the best option, but I think it's still a possibility.
If they do have a viable DNA sample by now, do you think that there would have already been more progress? Do you think that the fact that there hasn't been progress is a sign that they don't?
I do, because we can look at the glove that was found about 2 miles away. They pretty quickly identified that person and ruled them out.
And so I think that was through genetic, sorry to interrupt you, but I think that was through genetic genealogy.
I believe
based on the process of elimination of how they.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, you see, they're making progress. We're just not hearing about it. I don't know about a boot. I never knew those bite lights existed until me too. I thought you were the headlights or whatever, but again, I don't work on cars or do any of that. I had no idea. You can't take me in the middle of the night. I'm always awake watching YouTube slits. You get hurt coming into my house in the middle of the night, just saying. And I agree. I'm not up all night, but you don't want to come to my house, I assure you. All right, let's continue. The 10 o'clock pill still there. She didn't take her medication either.
Must have done that.
Yeah, I haven't heard it confirmed, but I have a very strong belief that they did use genetic genealogy to identify that person. It makes sense. So you can see how quickly that happened. So I think if they had a viable profile, and a SNP profile is what it's called when they create that file that they can upload to the genetic genealogy databases, I think they would have put a lot of resources on it, and that person would have been identified by now, unless they just found that DNA, very, very recently. But if it was among the first things tested, I believe this case would already be solved.
So you suspect they don't.
Well, again, we know that Sheriff Nanos, this is not a secret that he botched the first part of this. Everybody wants him out, guys. There was a unanimous vote, and every single person said he's got to go. Harris O'Rourke says, I've used a bite light. You slobber so much out of the side of your mouth. There you go. And that's what she's saying. She realizes that. No, they didn't take. I heard that too, that they didn't take her pills with her. She didn't have her slippers. And so I was like, why would someone kidnap her and not take her stuff with her if they planned on keeping her to get the ransom? I just really, truly don't think that this case is about the ransom money. All right. Rebecca's in the house. Hello. Golden Hen, Savannah Guthrie is out, not hiding. Why is it exactly? What is so secret about them? I don't get it either, but I mean, I guess we're not the ones to judge.
Don't have a viable sample at this point.
I suspect that, but I don't know, because they may be continuing to test swabs and items from the home. Yep. That may turn up something. It's like I said, it's really hard to predict where you're going to find that DNA. And so if they collected a lot of swabs and physical evidence, it's certainly possible they might come across that one DNA profile that is needed to break this case wide open.
You said something else that really interested me, something else I read, that Savannah should be begging some of these databases like Ancestry to open up. That's
only if they have that SNP profile, though, right? It's not.
There's no point, right? If they don't have anything to enter into the database.
Yeah, and when I said that is when we didn't really know what they had.
Yep.
But I think with the glove, they were able to just use GEDmatch.
Now, is that a real question? Did you really want me to answer that, Allie? Because he's an idiot. But really, he did it secretively. He wanted, in my opinion, he wants the upper hand in this case. And that's why he did that. We talked about why he's being recalled. And part of it was that this case, he botched and he kept things private and secretive from FBI, which when he was working with them. Why did he do that? We don't know. Because he's an idiot? I have no idea. He's incompetent? He can't stop committing crimes?
And or family tree DNA, the two that we always use to identify that person. And I think that kept the commercial companies from getting that subpoena or warrant to open up their databases. I think it would have happened if they had not been able to quickly make that identification. And so if they are able to create that SNP profile of the presumed perpetrator.
Well, that's the thing. There you go. B2B. There you go. Most of the time it is a family member or friend. The DNA is going to be there. I ask you again, why is FBI back at the house and what are they doing? You don't think that you think we're the only ones watching Annie and Tommaso? You don't think that FBI has a suspicion and is saying the same things above and beyond what we're saying? I think so. I can't imagine not. Just because Sheriff Nanos is incompetent and tries to clear the family, FBI is not. Yeah, his ego is the problem.
I do believe that the big commercial companies that have barred law enforcement will be served with a warrant to make those comparisons.
Yeah, and I never really understood that, CC, until you explained it to me. And I think people just gloss this over when they're doing the stories about these cases, is that the big databases like Ancestry.com do not share their information with law enforcement, right?
There you go. That happened after the cases started being solved. People wanted an anonymity, and so they said, check off the box, do not share, where others would. Other people would. Like, I would be like, fine, share. I'm not worried about that. Let's hope. He said he wanted all the evidence to stay within the same lab. Other evidence went there. That's his explanation. Yeah, he sucks at explaining things too, and that's another problem. His explanations have been terrible, and so none of us know anything that we didn't know from day two. All right. You say Tommaso had burglar alarms put in after all the drilling, dust, his plate. Oh, dear Lord. Help us all.
So it's
Yeah.
just these smaller specialized ones. So when they try to do the genetic genealogy, they don't have access to everything.
Right. So there are over 54 million people who have taken direct consumer DNA tests now. If we could compare against those large databases, then we would be solving cases every few hours, multiple a day. Instead, we're using less than 2 million profiles to compare against because of the restrictions that have been placed on those databases. And so it really is a question of genetic privacy versus public safety, right? Because we could be getting violent criminals off the streets, very, very quickly if we could compare against even a fraction of that 50 million people. But instead, we're limited to the 3 smallest databases, GEDmatch, Family Tree DNA, and the new DNA Justice database.
I think at some point it will all be out there. All right. Yeah, the sheriff speaks word salad. But here's the thing, Texas Plain Jane, I couldn't agree with you more. If there was a percentage, I would be 100% with you. I absolutely think the FBI has a good idea, and they're just getting enough proof to get them. Absolutely. I do think so too. I think they've got some good solid evidence. They're not going to tell us, of course, right? But they're working behind the scenes to get things done. I do believe that. All right, let's continue.
That I helped create.
Have they ever made an exception? Have any of those bigger databases ever let law enforcement work with them?
No, they haven't, because they release transparency reports, I think annually, maybe more often, and they let their customers know what they have had to provide to law enforcement. And so far, it's just been like credit card information, that type of thing. Nothing as far as their genetic databases. But I think that's coming. I think it'll be a knockdown, drag out fight.
No, it's weird because, and you hear what she's saying. I mean, this is all like, we know this. We're going to get into, we're almost done here, but I guess they say she's Wiccan, which I don't have a problem. I don't care what you do, but she does give me creepy vibes. And I'm going to add on top of that people that went to school with her said the same thing. They said she was a weird girl at school, the odd one out. She was kind of creepy, so what you're saying is the same thing other people are saying. All right. I don't care. I'm not downing Wiccan or Wicca or any of that. I'm not downing any. I don't care what you practice. You're still my homie. As long as you're a good person, I don't care what you do. Okay. I'm not going to sit there and say any of that. Emily, what's up, my friend? Good to see you. That's not true. They're not going to tell. All right, let's continue. I'm not sure what they're going to tell.
This would have been an interesting case if it had come up, because the public is so behind the Guthries and wants Nancy found so much that I think it would have been a really bad PR move for those companies to fight against the use of their databases. But they would, because they feel they need to protect their customers from, law enforcement's prying eyes, right? And so what people need to understand, though, is even if they did serve a successful warrant, they're not getting your DNA or your DNA profile. They're just forcing that company to compare that unknown perpetrator's DNA against the database to see who they're relatives with. So they're not seeing anybody's actual DNA profile. They're just getting a list back that would say, this person shares 1% of their DNA, or this person shares 3%. This is most likely a second cousin, for instance.
Y'all making me laugh over there. You guys are amazing today with everything. The chat's great. I'm like, damn, y'all are putting on your thinking caps, aren't you? Let me just make sure I didn't miss anybody's super chats. And there you go. Mab is going to be on. He's in Cali. I'm in Cali. We're actually right down the street from each other. We're in the Bay Area. Mab's going to do 7:30, which is an hour and 20 minutes from now. He's going to do the Bite Light, and I assume he's covering the Nancy Guthrie case. So thank you, Mab. You guys make sure you go and hit the notifications, sub up to Mab, and make sure you go tonight at 7:30. He's got a lot of, I like Mab, and I like the Patriot Official. I like what they're doing. They're much more open-minded than I am. I'm inside the box. I'm more of like an Occam's razor. Let's go with the evidence. I'm usually not a what if, but this case is forcing me to be a what if. Thank you, Mab. I appreciate that. All right, let's continue. Ooh, Rebecca, member for 13 18 months. She says, I freaking love Guilty of Crime. Well, thank you. We're giving this away, so stay till the end, okay? There's your Guilty of Crime, and you're a member. Danny's mom. Keep coming back. All right. Let's get this down, get that, and finish up this convo.
And so most of the time, it's going to be people who share very, very small amounts of their DNA. But there are exceptions where we get a very close relative, even in the small databases. I've had parent-child matches and full siblings. So you would see that some. So it would impact some people much more significantly. But for the vast majority of people, yeah, it might turn out their third cousin is a serial killer.
Do you, and I remember with Brian Koberger, they were really careful to keep the names confidential. Like we never saw the names of who the distant relatives were. You know, that was all redacted.
Yeah, that's been best practices. We've tried to do that from the very beginning. Because I came from the adoption search world, and most of my colleagues that do this work did as well, we were already very well educated on the concerns of, you know, matches and people in those databases. So we've bent over backwards to fight for those names to be privatized. Now, some people have come forward and outed themselves and said, you know, they were the closest match on a case. But as far as the reports that we're providing that then go to the courts, we leave out the names because that's not what's important. What's important is the common ancestors, right? So if you've got 5 matches who all share their great-great-grandparents, that's really all that matters. We don't need to know anything more about those people.
Thank
Do
you.
you think the Nancy Guthrie case, if they end up getting a good profile, could be the case where for the first time, these companies are forced to let law enforcement in?
I do. And if
I do too, 110%. And thank you so much, Rebecca, for that goal. All right. We're going to be giving away that bag right after this. We're almost done with this DNA talk, but I absolutely agree. There's no way, no how they're not going to be able to use that. They're so invasive. At some point, guys, I mean, you guys already talk about it. Inside of her house with Alexa's recording and video footage, they're just going to be able to come right in and tell everybody what they did. All right. We're not going to be able to commit crimes and get away with them.
it's not this case, it'll be another one. It'll be the next big case where they've got a profile, they've got a DNA sample. It's not hitting in CODIS, and they need to stop that person, you know, before they hurt anyone else. Like in Brian Koberger's case, I mean, I believe he would have hurt more people had he not been identified through investigative genetic genealogy very quickly. So I think it's going to happen. It's really just a matter of time and what cases happen. You know, I think it would have happened on the Charlie Kirk assassination, for instance, if they hadn't identified him quickly, or the attempted assassination of Trump. Those types of cases, they're not going to hesitate to try to get into those databases.
I don't even want to get into that Charlie Kirk case. All I'm going to say is that's going to be a conspiracy theories dream. Now that we know that the bullet doesn't match a weapon, that's wild. I'll just say that. All right. I'll leave it at that. I'm in Minnesota. Been reading on this since it happened. Savannah is a light of an angel. She probably is the sanest one in the whole family. You know what, Jennifer? I have to agree with you about that light that she exudes. I didn't know she even existed before this case. But then I went and I watched her and I took a look at the Today Show. And the reason she's the main focal point is because she's just kind of angelic. I hate to say that, but she's really just, she's the most, I don't know. You want to look at her. You want to hear what she has to say. She's a light. That's all I can say. Thank you. The lady is too mainstream. She's forensic genius. I agree. I don't know how often Cameron visited his mom, but he is a fighter pilot or something in another state. I don't think Cameron had anything to do with any of this.
If they are stuck, because they're, you know, really important cases, really high profile cases where they feel that they can make an exception in those cases, because law enforcement is trying to follow the rules. They are trying to use genetic genealogy in a responsible way. They don't want to turn the public against this tool. And that was what I really fought for the first several years I was doing this work, was we've got to stick to the rules. We've got to follow these because we don't want to turn the public against the use of genetic genealogy for law enforcement. But I've realized over the years that most of the public thinks we are using those big databases. They don't even
Yeah,
know that there are.
I
rules.
did. I honestly did.
Yeah.
And I even covered Koberger and everything until you explained it to me. I didn't fully understand it.
Yeah. So I've softened a little bit on it, especially after working so many cases of these terrible violent criminals where you see real harm done to people and to families and to society. I'm a little bit more in the gray area now, where I think that in some cases, an exception may be, arguable, right? And especially because people think we're doing it already. And also, I was involved in a long-term study with Baylor University, and we found across the board that 91% of people were supportive of the idea of using investigative genetic genealogy to stop violent criminals. That was eye-opening to me because I'm kind of a target. I get a lot of the negativity. There's a lot of very loud minority voices. And so to see that we had such broad support, and then on the other hand, that so many people think we're already using.
Now I realized that we weren't, but I feel like we should. And I know some people aren't going to, KD said, "You're a genius. I didn't even think to speed up Judge Brewer." Oh my goodness. It was not that it didn't match. A fragment of a bullet couldn't be not excluded. Okay, then that's good. I didn't want to even dig into it further, and I'm glad you explained that to me because it was boggling my mind how it didn't match. I was like, did he use another bullet? Did he use a different, because you can use different caliber bullets in different weapons, right? You can buy 280 for a 280, but you can also use an alternative round that's similar in that gun. All right. So that's the thing is that I didn't realize that the fragment of the bullet could not be excluded. That's a huge difference, Wyatt. Huge difference. Just like in the Richard Allen case. I can't say more because I don't want to get into big conspiracy theories, but I think they got the right man. That bullet matched that gun. End of story. All right, let's continue. We're almost done here. Thank you, Wyatt.
Ancestry 23andMe that, and then also what I said as far as seeing how much damage is done on the other side of things.
Yes.
I've definitely changed my viewpoint a little bit because what's the worst thing that can happen if they compare against your DNA? A close family member of yours is outed as a violent criminal. But do we really want those people having access to our loved ones, our children, our grandma? Do we want them sitting around our Thanksgiving table? As difficult as it would be to make that sort of discussion.
Well, what about if they're criminals? That's the thing. All right, Rachel says, emailed images of what you meant about the mask. When did you email me? Oh, just right now? All right, let me see. Oh, the bite light. Okay, hold on. You gave me a lot of pictures. Let me see if I can. All right, so you gave me the bite light. And then, all right, we're almost done with this, and then I'll take a look at what you're saying. Are you saying that you think he was wearing a mask under the mask? Is that what I'm understanding? But I do see the bite light situation, and you didn't put that one with the picture. So, yeah, let me know. What do you, explain what you mean with that a little more.
I think it's important to weed those people out, not just from society, but from among our own families.
When if you're also that creeped out by being in a database, you could just not do the DNA testing to find out you could say, I'm not doing the ancestry testing, right? It's not like,
and many people have made that decision, but the problem is their relatives have decided for them, because if your second cousin has tested, we can find you, right? Okay. And so
let me see.
A lot of people have decided I'm not going to do it, but especially if a close family member makes a different decision, then your DNA or part of your DNA is already exposed.
Interesting.
So your second cousin, it's only 3%, right? But if multiple second cousins from different branches have tested, or your first cousin, there is a lot of overlap that you're seeing. And
all right, so let me thank you for the $9.99, first of all. And second of all, I'm done with this DNA conversation. All right, this is all I could ever want and more. So now we're going to, all right, I'm going to put that on there for you so you can talk about it in chat. But I get what you're saying now. Let me show a couple things that you just sent me real quick. All right, let me let me show the bite light, just because I literally have never seen anybody using one. So I've seen little lights like this. I never realized that was a bite light. All right, I didn't realize that. So I didn't know what the heck. I just thought it was a flashlight. And then let me stop sharing the screen real quick and I'll do the masks because I don't want your personal information to get out there to people. I don't want to accidentally share my screen. All right, let's do this. There we go. Pull it down. Okay, so what you're saying is that around the eyes and the mouth is what we've kind of been saying. A lot of people are saying that they think there's a mask underneath the mask. Like this isn't the real guy, it's a mask. And then there's various layers. So let me zoom in. It kind of looks like almost like just way too discolored there. It's hard to see this picture though because of it's pretty grainy. But I mean, it definitely does look like a mask. There's the bite light, okay. And then that looks like a mask, but then it also, I gotta tell you, when you look at this mask, it does look like a mask. Look at the lips. Look at the lips and look at the eyes, all right? Can you guys see that? But then at the same time, I can't get out of my head I can't get out of my head that this guy's face also looks like a damn mask. I can't get it out of my head. I know that it's probably not him or whatever, but I thought it was layers, but then I keep seeing that and no one checked him out. I did. Matt Lauer? Yeah, I checked. What do you mean? I've looked at his stuff. I couldn't get down with what he was talking about today. If you're talking about the Matt Lauer online, yeah, he was really not talking about things. Okay, the perimeter of the eyes and the mouth, the side view. Okay, now, so take a look at this. Take a look at the eyes and the side view. It's all up there. The same thing you just sent me is all the way on the right. But for some reason, that guy's face looks like a mask. Also, so does Luke's. Luke's face looks like a mask. When he did that interview where he's all bundled up and wearing a freaking tie and cut off his facial hair, he looks like a freaking mask. Right? It looks like there's a mask under the mask is what she's saying. If you look to the far right of the picture, you see how tight it is and how it's like up to here and then down here and then just perfectly fitted. All right? So many layers on that I would have sweated inside the house. Exactly. It looks like it's fitted from the front. It does, but then look again. Let me do this. Can I? All right, I'm going to put myself back here, but I just really can't unsee that. I'm still looking at this and those are AI images. The ones that are in color were AI, so you can't really tell much from that. But then you look at the bottom row, and it looks like they're wearing 3 different layers or 4. You got freaking Jason Voorhees here looking all creepy with a bag over his head, the bite light, which he drooled all over. So yeah, I really can't tell. It looks like this guy has a full double chin, like a rubber mask pulled over his head. Yeah, that's what people are saying. Yeah, that's what everybody's saying. Like he was wearing a mask under the mask. Jay, look at his shoes. All right. Let me hide this so I can see his shoes. I can't really see his shoes in this though. I can only see like the tip of them. What about his shoes? Did you show something in the other yeah, it looks like he's wearing socks almost. It's hard to see what I can't see. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm not sure. Balaclava, hoodie up, ski mask on. They're saying the porch guy is fake and Nancy never came home. The blood was a needle well. Don't believe. Yeah, that's way too conspiracy theory. All right. Then the guy I showed you, maybe a beard. That's what I was exactly thinking. My goodness. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I can see the shoes and I can see anything in the shoes because I really can't. All I see is like a black bottom rim with white. So I'm going to go with that for now. And yeah, definitely. A lot of people have said that. A lot of people. You're not the only one. But I don't know about the shoes. All right. But what I do know is I'm hungry. We have 411 people in chat, and I'm about to go eat. I don't know how we got here to 2 hours and 24 minutes, almost 2.5 hours. No, your theory's proper. Everybody's theory is proper. Yeah, I showed the guy. Thank you. The mask is puffy, like more layers or bearded. Right. I mean, look at that. Look at the one where it looks like he doesn't have any eyes. He looks all puffed out and like he has 3 pairs of clothes on. And then you look at his face and his face looks smashed. And yeah, stage. I definitely think it's staged. I thought that too. All right, guys, I'm going to give away this bag before I go to dinner. So if you guys left, I just saw 20 people jump out of chat. That gives you guys 20 more opportunities to win that bag. All right, so we're going to give that away right now. Let's get started. Hit that like button so you can be in the algorithm. Drop a comment. Make sure you get a membership or whatever, what have you. All right, here we go. Yeah, that food is way too good. Even I think Mama Pearl's already eating. I just think food got delivered over there, and I could smell it. I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry. All right, let's get to it. 393 people in chat, and let's go. You got to be in the United States and a crime crew member, which Mrs. Bennett just got a membership right at the last minute. Welcome. All right, let's do it. Oh my goodness, Tucson girl. Now, I've been seeing Tucson girl here every day. Do you have a membership, Tucson? Oh, you're not. Nope. Tucson girl is not a crime crew member. We love you, but we gotta have to spin it again, guys. All right? Gotta do it again. You gotta be a member. All right, one more time. Gotta be a member and be in the US, basically. All right. And let's do it again. All right. Countdown, please. I want that bag too. He said, LOL. Oh, it is a nice bag. I hope Golden Hen has been very generous. Let's see. Golden Hen, do you have a membership, my friend? I hope you do. You've been very generous. No membership. Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you, Tucson girl. I'm telling everybody. All right, Golden Hen won. Golden Hen, as long as you're in the United States, my friend, that's all yours. Now, Tiff is going to ship it out to you, Golden Hen. If you email her guiltyofcrime.merch@gmail.com, then she'll get that shipped out to you. All right? Congratulations. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you for getting to the goal, helping us get to the goal, and congratulations to you. All right, that's what we do around here. So you guys, just so you know, get a membership. When we're doing giveaways, we usually do giveaways for the people that are subscribed. Look at that. Oh, no. Okay, well, now you remember. So let's come back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. You guys know Fridays are always a bit of fun. We might be doing true crime, but we have a laugh or two. It's real chill. Now, welcome to the Crime Crew, Tucson girl. You don't have to afford a membership, Christine. We gift them all the time. All right? So email Tiff, my girl Tiff, at guiltyofcrime.merch@gmail.com, and I'm out of here. I love you guys so much. I'll see you back tomorrow. All right? Yes, I'm hungry. I'm dying here. Love you guys. Good night. See you tomorrow.
Guilty of crime. I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime. Are you guilty?